Memo kwa baba Adkwart Studios. Nyami onsha so nyamrechi na hwe Adkwart Studios. So the yana de bia me kai no. Be careful for nothing. Yeah, me wa abranchi bia ne ye ene na kwan eye me feyi. Enam se na me kasa mrana ye beto aba fa na kwan be dia kon ono so na ni abre den se ye to aba ma na kwan be dia kon abebo o my Ghana obon ho modin ye se wadane aba Ibrahim Traoré and say e ho anso na se me tai e kan ho nsem na uti abranti ya uti say owo Africa ewo edana komaso na ne nsem bi a oka bia no tu say oto no bo ase ayehwehwemu papa bi na ne nkasa yemu no obusa asem bi a ayame nsoma se busa meta busa nti na ayese yenkotie ne nsem na okan na yetie wi a na also ye Ghana ni a wafemu aba yenkode yenkotie.
Burkina Faso under the leadership of the captain. Burkina Faso under the leadership of the captain has been actively constructing and rehabilitating dams on rivers for a few months now. The interesting thing is there is one major river body in Burkina Faso which literally supplies water to the streams in the country. It is this same river that flows from their country to my own country in Ghana. It is called Mohon River, which is also known as the Black Volta in Ghana. That is the largest river in Burkina Faso, and the captain has decided to dam it at several levels for irrigation purposes. The captain has embarked on a major nationwide water management and irrigation initiative. His plan is to rehabilitate 38 dams and construct 2 new dams for the purpose of irrigating 3,073 hectares of farmlands. So from April of 2025, work began on the Diaradogu Dam. This dam has a water holding capacity of 10 million cubic, which is about 106 million cubic feet. And guess where the funding for the project came from, ladies and gentlemen? From the local government. So the state is funding the entirety of the project and also create a 1 million embankment for the water body to prevent spillovers and create an irrigation canal to farmlands. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first dam they started in April of this year. Then he started construction works on the second dam in June of this same year. It's called the Sangin Dam, which is currently 61% complete. This dam will hold 123 cubic of water, irrigating about 400 hectares of farmland, plus providing drinking water to the nearby communities. Ladies and gentlemen, these 2 dams are fully Burkinabe funded. Totally Burkinabe funded. Remember, the man imported several hundreds of excavators some 6 months ago. This is what those machines are being used for in his country, and the tractors are being used on the farm. The man wants to develop the crop and the fish production capacity of his country to the level where they can conveniently be self-reliant. And that makes me curious to want to ask you this question, ladies and gentlemen. What has the government in your country been doing in the last 1 year? Are they doing something similar, ladies and gentlemen? Or is it still the excuses? What are they saying now? Did they say there is a war and prices are rising and America has withdrawn their aids and increased tariffs, and for that reason they can't do much? But that's the same thing happening to Burkina Faso, ladies and gentlemen. Yet development is happening. Don't you rather think that politicians in your country are clueless about solutions? Can you now see how nonchalant they are about people's problems? Listen, there is no problem peculiar to your country. Whatever your country is going through is the same thing happening everywhere. Therefore, if your country is not moving forward, it's not because they are overburdened with certain problems which other countries don't have, but because those in charge are empty in your country. I'm telling you, they are empty-minded people. Let me give you this classical example in my own country. This is the same river that is dammed heavily in Ghana, coming from Burkina Faso. It is one of the world's largest man-made dams that was constructed between 1961 to 1965 by our very first president, Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. Since the time it was constructed to now, no government ever thought of establishing farms that would supply the entire country with crop produce and fish from that dam. It flows from the north, turn our turbines for hydroelectric power, provide us with drinking water, and goes freely into the sea. It sometimes breaks its boundaries and flood into people's homes. We go back to provide some mattresses and sympathy and some money to the affected people and move on. This has been the story in the last 68 years in Ghana, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, a young soldier walks in and starts putting the water to its maximum use. Ladies and gentlemen, do you see how dumb people can be for so long in Africa? One man is turning the same water body into a massive resource for economic development, whereas the other men praise that the water continues to flow so that we may not sleep in darkness. This is the difference between leadership and rulership. This is the same thing happening in the countries I mentioned earlier. In Uganda, Tanzania, DRC, and Co. There are 11 of them. 11 African countries all have the Nile River flowing through their land. They have arguably the longest river in the world flowing through their country, and yet they wait for grains from overseas. All those 11 countries wait for rice from Asia. This is what we black Africans have done to ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. We have put clueless leaders in charge of our resources, and we wonder why things are hard for us. I can tell you this for a fact, ladies and gentlemen. If we don't remove these clowns from office, our plight will be worse than we ever thought, ladies and gentlemen. See how people can be so poor and hungry in many African countries when the land is literally flowing with milk and honey. Every time we have food shortages here and there in Africa. Do you know what Traoré is doing about that, ladies and gentlemen? He is drilling over 1,000 meters deep of boreholes in many places across the country to provide access to drinking and irrigation water throughout the year. He started this in February of this year, and so far he has drilled 8 of such deep boreholes. What excuse is your local government giving you at this time for lack of drinking water? I'll tell you this. They don't care to see the people share drinking water with farm animals. They would rather use those images of the poor people to ask for aids and use the money on something else. This is a 1,000 meter deep borehole, ladies and gentlemen. That thing can hold water forever, trust me. By the time this man is done with the dams and boreholes and farms, Burkina Faso will become the breadbasket of West Africa. I said it here first. Burkina Faso is en route to become West Africa's source of food and fish for a country that has no sea. They are going to have a reliable water supply all year round for irrigation. They will have a booming crop and fish industry and consolidate their food security. What will your country's food situation be in the next 3 years?
Yeah, what you in some na asemwa ayasem busa kese pa ose nya Ibrahim Traoré eye wo Burkina Faso no ede na wo nso o mampani eye mato Ibrahim Traoré din say the people's pastor the people's president the people's president no Canada no from a people pastor the people's president, the president of the people, the president of the people, the people's president. Wow. Osi ensua your friend a black voter no your man Penny Nkrumah at the year down no. Say Ibrahim Traoré at the year down sakesi enko makumako eduasa enwotwe no wahase a mienu no de oyekọ nanim na botaye a wode eye ne se onbenyi nsua no na omudi bi ayekua nyansa ne edibu man yo nyansa ne edibu man oh adwene wa branch yetri na ekwan ben na ne nkrofo befa so afiri amanie num enya niema bi a oye ne na awotwe na ya boye nsemama no no ade a oye a ebeboa mo oman no afiri dwenne ani ohiam ihia madwendwe o minkaso ohia ehia madwendwe it need thinking. As I've been saying, we don't need philosophers, we need thinkers. African penny for ihia wana wa mo dwen. What is say one work? Oh yeah, asia bosome enanum say wa ye aduru baby. Na niema manage asem we ho a me ba beka bi ni say o say abibi man awdo bebrede omo kan say eko a ekoso nkrofo kroso ntini ana omo ntimi nya hwe na o say amanihunu a amanhudo efemu no ebia na Burkina efemu anso Ibrahim Traoré abona dwa boso say you will never go outside and beg for money. Why? Because Burkina Faso have all that it takes to rebuild the country. This is leader. We know the campo. What's it na woman penny here? Every mra ya man penny and chroma a years idea we know. Well, President Kufu also abeye aburi says aburi o say ya aburi down. I say mo na Ghana na ye tumrika o nanka ye nanti afedie say ya transio say ye wieo the adichie bia no nipa ko na nimu abrabom anka oman Ghana enya nkrofo bia adi animu a omo amoa yen a kanya se yatie ba bia yatie yo oman a ade bo enyina faako ejese bibia timi agi hwim ne nyaji hwim no nso a se bebe na chi oboa enti osini ema ekoso Burkina Faso no ahokyira ekoso nkrofo kromu wiase ba bia no ebi ekoso sa but Ibrahim Traoré is so unique we ni pasron ko opagya ni man afiri amane ani wo ha mu ye ensuo ya yeka ho asemi mekai mra ensuo ne yirfa nkrofo wala se meka sem bi on ya compage na nyadaji asoma mekai ni se na ensuo na ebu faso na ese nkrofo fie ani nkrofo mfuo no enti yentumi nkreti dam bubi ema no aha yampani for no so ho da enti ni won adwemu because he haye the man so ye da a leader any amanyofo no say omo ba within 4 years no on person omo ye bibi na bring crofo ni so and obi a leader odwene oman no emfie aduonum a ewo oman no enye emfie nan and within 4 years nya dia obeye bibi a ebeye beneficial for the people in the nation no because now and two fees and penny for common to me sir there party no would you the years and yam penny for in some American or to me Say ye create dam. Na dam for na to me abwa. Na adi every northern regional. Upper voter. Enti ehon mo na opesi a na nsuo wan ya dendenden. Ana nsuo no eyiri na amfa ayi a or the say voter na afa esrem ho. Enti get me creative bi a eho beba mfa so. Aba asima na kwa mbedi akon eka say water transport. Enkanamu yo sa vote edasro sa tio edasro sa ba person ko bopum. Ai asma kan say yewo ade a wosankedi diye enso no ye nkrofo edaso tio hiem na yakotwa nkrofo bi a omokose nsuo ekowire nsuo na yede akokira brofo no se ye de da bi o ye mobbo timbabu ai Mama say Ibrahim Traoré de oye ajinsemo na Ibrahim Traoré ne ye enti no abibimamu adikanfo no obi ania no ye bia. No president in Africa will have any excuse not making, not pulling. No, you don't have any excuse. Makase, it will be a shame for any African president to go out and beg for money. Why? Because of what Ibrahim Traoré is doing at Burkina Faso. To be a shame and reproach for you to go outside and beg for money. You don't need. Ibrahim Traoré has cancelled that mentality. Has cancelled. No African president should go out and beg for money. If you go out begging for money, that means you don't deserve to be a president in Africa. Wow. Just a young man. He's not even up to his 40s. And this young man is doing wonders. So amazing. Wow. Abrantie ye niema enwanwo. Na oma Africa. Adikanfo ni nyina hunu yie se. Abibimanya mi ehirae. Mo Ghana fo nkwala no a. Mo yade mo aye ministers a. Mo bi. Se mo hunu sika da no a. Mo hase eye niema bi a mo anhwe yie. Sania na mo ka ora na na mo gunkrofo so. Se mo anhwe yie na ban foforo ba. Mo ho kire be kire mo no ahu. Ensem bi on ma wote kura na obi ani abere no. Obi ani abere a ka prekura wode chechire man no. Mo de mo ba so afikura mayo. Anso mo bi niema mo ye no. Because munsua de ndi enka mo hwe ministers a mo wo NDC mu sese no mrantie ni nyina no mo che Ibrahim Traoré mo che no enti nka de wonya Ghana kra no nka ba bi a wo no ye de wagira no ye na efie nan no so obi ahwe ho aka se da bi yanya mrantie a Africa ni Ghana da won akoma so. Enti ni awaka ni say Ibrahim Traoré chire susunye da leadership. Any political leaders or the susunye don't tell me. They minim ni say as even Ghana, they don't build a nation, they build their parties. So they don't have enough time to build a nation. Oh, about 2 years, you know. Now, ye BB. Now I MPP for buy. Now, don't even find out the show, man. 4 years, you know. Obi abet me a castle of born home. Parties in number. I fear Dinkano. Now, born home. But because they are not building a nation, last it. No. So all dream be say idea we are me ye no. A back cost of mine we say. But yet to me 10 years to come no. A de be kasi be bro me. Omuni sa adwen no. Enti omboka kwaje besi ade ye kwan. Kwan de because eno no benya nchobo. Oh yeah project where a school eno no benya nchobo. But say adie bi te say factory bi te say national ayi te say dia Ibrahim Traoré oye ohiase bosome nan mu awo according to Diana ebey eken enso hwe ba bia say waduro oso die ni mu a gen na yetimi ka say ye build it down na obekọ no amra no kura yentui na etu amra nso kura na ensuo togum ba akopɛ ebesa kan si ye yankrofo ye ni abere ye yankrofo ye serious ye da nyame ase enti ye betwe ni ahwe Burkina Faso ni ahwe ne pa ekoso na yesua yada yankopon ase say yene ankasa yaboboa no heya yenya abrantie bi a wo ye nhweso ama Africa nyina hwe adenti na wiase nyina eka Ibrahim Traoré ho ase enye sebi ne tenten enye so ye Australia pa oye nipa sronko all person ne mind free amanim admire bi okasem bi ose watina ohiam ni ahokyere mu da onim sani ane ma me ne papa ne ma wo nga fam ana nya nwanwa because emre bi obi ka sa se we na mentina se na nkrofo oka so obi ka so ohunu ohia da beda na ohunu ohia ni bobo me do be sia ni abompa ye se African penifo no o ma dache no munyane aso munyane a wo mo ani so betete obi so anyane na ni so ya ntete pensuo bi wohoro wanim na hwe wanim na Africa wo bibi papa bi a se ye penifo no adwen na wo dwene ni pa etu o man ni mu na be si ni ekwe 10 years to come no Africa ba be kra be he onyame onhira mo ani hwe ni tie bye bye.